All right, just back from my stone sheep hunt up in northern BC with my partner Ed Thompson. Been home for a few days now, and I just wanted to share with you guys all the gear that I took on this trip. Now, in full disclosure, I have changed a few things out since I got back and replaced them already in my gear kit. So I'll show you those as we go along. So I'm just going to start with everything on the table and kind of work my way through the pack. So for boots, I run the Crispy Nevada boots. I've run them now for about 3 years. Really like them. The game changer for me was the sheep feet insoles. So if you're looking to do some insoles, I highly recommend those. My rifle. This is an Alpine Riflecraft Zenith. I've done a full review on this rifle. It's also on our YouTube channel. It's chambered in .284 Winchester. This was the first Alpine Riflecraft Zenith off the assembly line, and I'm really happy to say it's the first Alpine rifle to harvest a stone sheep. So I'm just randomly going through stuff. So this is my bino harness. For optics on this trip, I went back and forth a few times on what I was going to bring, and I settled on the Revic range-finding binos. I am going to switch back to just running Swaro 10 power binos for next year. And the only reason I'm doing that is I just want a little bit better glass at first and last light. Running the marsupial bino harness. And then I've got their pouch on the bottom, which I keep a couple little things in. Extra ammunition and ear pro. For clothes, I run the Kuiu Tiburon pant for early season. Really comfortable. I actually wear them every day. They're nice and light. Sort of my all-purpose mid-layer. I actually use it as a base layer sometimes too. This is a Peloton 240 hoodie. And I've had this one for years. It goes on every hunt. I had a seamstress sew in pit zips for me so I can just dump some heat when I'm hiking. I tried some new shirts this year. These are also from Kuiu. This is their Gia line, Gila, I think is what you call it. This is their short sleeve tee. Super light, comfortable, dries real easy. Mosquitoes still can't penetrate it though. And then I took a long sleeve. This is their Gia hoodie. I think it's called the Pro or something, but it's got a hoodie, or sorry, a hood, and it's got a neck gaiter that kind of doubles as a buff with a chest pocket. Really like this piece. Okay, moving on to the pack. So this year I decided to try a new offering from EXO. This is their Terratorn pack. It's a collab with another group called Shoot to Hunt. I've been running the EXO K4 now for a few years. I really like the system, but this bag had a lot of features that I really liked. It's got these storage wings that fold out. I'll go through it as I unpack my bag, and I really like that. It's got some compartments. It's got a compartment in the bottom for, actually I put my sleep system in my tent in there. So I'm just gonna go from the top down and show you guys what I have in here. So for gloves, these are my sort of daily gloves. They're really light. These are made by a company called Hunt Monkey. They're super ultra light. They're not waterproof, but you have the ability to snip off the fingers. There's some marks, so you can expose your fingertips and your thumb. I really like having that feature. Then I don't have to take my gloves on and off. You can grab your phone or small items quite easily. I've ran fingerless gloves the last couple years, and I find they absolutely save my hands from thorns and bushes and stuff. So again, these are made by a company called Hunt Monkey. A buff. I took a buff this year. This was a game changer. It was really hot on our pack in and our pack out. So I just soaked this with water, put it on my head, drape it over so the buff hangs down over the back of my neck, keeps the sun off, and then when it's cold water on it, it keeps your neck nice and cool, and then just put my hat on top of it. My toiletry bag, pretty simple, not going to go through that. One thing I do run in my toiletries is I run toothpaste tablets rather than toothpaste, and then just small travel size toiletries. This is sort of my possibles bag. It's got a bit of everything in it. I keep my knives in here for a kill kit. Shout out to Tanner at Frontiersman. This is a stone eye knife. It was a knife with the a promotion for Wild Sheep Society of BC a few years ago. I've ran this knife now for, I don't even know, it's probably 4 or 5 years I think I've had it. I've never put a sharpening stone to it. I just take it back to Tanner every couple of years and he sharpens it up for me. For caping, I used this year, I don't know if it's in here somewhere. I had a small scalpel, just a surgical scalpel that I bought off of Amazon. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. And it worked really well. I used this Tanner's knife for pretty well everything. And then just doing the face, I used the scalpel. All kinds of stuff in here. These are pristine water tablets. They're the only water tablet that I've found that you actually don't taste a chlorine taste with. They worked really well. I used those quite a bit. And then just your regular things that you need. Some small tools, some Dyneema cord, extra buckle for my pack. I think that's kind of a personal thing as far as what you take for possibles. This is where I keep my electronics, right in the front pouch at the top. So I run a Phoenix headlamp. These things are great. I take a spare battery with me for them. On this particular trip, I didn't have to use the spare. I brought this little FlexTail mini pump. I'm on the fence about this. It works great. I think it would be real handy when you're starting a fire. Certainly for filling up your mattresses. It worked great. Extra cords. And then I brought a 20,000 milliamp Anchor battery. Still at 53% after, I think it was 10 days on the mountain. Okay, moving on to the front of the pack. So I'll just undo these straps. This new Terratorn bag has a shock cord on the front. I wasn't sure if I would use it or not, but it actually came in pretty handy. I kept my gaiters on there as well as my solar panel. These are the Ape Equipment gaiters, made here in BC, custom fit gaiters. Alec makes these himself. I really like them. They fit well. I only used them a couple of times on this particular hunt. And then this is my solar panel. This is the big blue solar panel, the 28 watt. These things work really, really well, even on cloudy days. I will possibly change this out for a newer model that they have. I think it's a 25 watt, and it's quite a bit smaller and lighter. I can save about ½ a pound if I do that. And I will probably also downsize my battery to a lighter 15 or 20,000 milliamp battery system. So a couple changes that I'll probably make for next year. Okay, pull this out of the way. So on these EXO packs, they all have a waterproof compartment, like a sleeve at the back of the pack that's independent from the pack. And it's great if you put something wet in there or carry water in there. Obviously, if it leaks, it'll drain. There's holes at the bottom of the pack and it drains out. I keep my water system, hydration system in there. Garbage bag. And I also stick things down in the bottom that I don't need every day. So again, this is post-hunt, so there's some stuff in here that's... Okay. So I keep my kill kit. This is a Stone Point Outdoors kill kit from Cody. Love that stuff. It's his game bags. I usually keep a couple sets of nitrile gloves in there. salt. Put all of this into a vacuum seal bag and vacuum it up. On this trip I took 2 contractor bags. I'll probably only use 1 going forward, so that's something I'm going to change. For water bags, these are the MSR Drama Light bag. It's 4 liters. Works really well. These bags are made by a company called Knock, C-N-O-C. I've used these for a long time. They're nice. The one thing I don't like about them is if you lay them on something thorny when you're filling your water bags and you're down in a creek or something, you got to kind of be careful that you don't poke a hole in them. Over 6 or 7 years, I've had 2 occasions where I poked holes, one on this trip. Not a big deal, but just something to be mindful of. Okay. All right, so yeah, on the wings that open up on this pack, these are really cool. So I'll go through the items that are in here. This is the Helinox Chair Zero. This is going to go on every mountain hunt with me now. It was a game changer for me for glassing. Weighs right around a pound and a luxury item, but it's well worth it. These are the poles for my tent. I was running the Durston gear, the new tent from Durston. I'll go through that in a little bit. So you've got a little elastic pocket on the inside of the sleeve, and then I keep my my glass on the left side of my pack because I carry the rifle on the right, so it's just a balance of the weight. So on this trip, I've made a slight change since I got back, but I'm running the Asiak Backcountry Light, the tripod, and I was running the, on this trip I ran the Spartan Precision first generation Davros head. It worked pretty well. I wanted a little more fine adjustment, so when I got home I swapped it out for the Gen 2 Davros Pro. Running a Swarovski STS 60 spotter. This is the large optics adapter from Spartan. Works really well. Basically just pops right on. And there's a little clamp on the side. For digiscoping, I've been running the on-glass adapter. Really like this product. It's super easy to use. I can pop it on and off quite easily if I don't need it right then. So that's the glass. Nalgene bottle. One of my criticisms, or I guess concerns with the Exo packs, is their water bottle holder. I've tried it on the new K4 and it just doesn't work for me. It's I just find it awkward to get the bottle in and out, so I added the Kifaru water bottle holder and then marsupial gear cell phone holster on the side. Toilet paper, wet wipes, hand sanitizer goes there, easy access. Okay, move over to this side. Okay, over here on this side, I've got a Z-Pax ultralight Dyneema tarp with 4 MSR mini groundhog pegs in there. Keep that with guy lines attached. So this year I was a little nervous about these, but I went with the Durston Skyline trekking poles. They're very light, super light. I was worried that they wouldn't be strong enough and I would break them. And in the first 5 minutes of our hunt, I tripped over a rock and put all my weight on this trekking pole, and it did not break. And they proved to be very, very durable over this course of the trip. My only issue with them is they're very loud. Like if you hit a rock when you're walking or you hit the side, they're pretty loud. But that's a pretty minor issue in my opinion. I got another set of Hunt Monkey gloves. These ones have a little bit of insulation in them and they're waterproof. Then I run the Stone Glacier pack cover. So I try to keep all of my rain gear and rain essentials on this side of the pack. This is the side that my rifle's riding on. Like I mentioned, it's a little bit lighter. So in case of a storm, I've got quick access to it. So in this wing pocket, I've got my rain gear. Running the Kuiu Kutana rain gear. Put that stuff over here. Okay. So this pack, you can access the main body of the pack from the top or from the front with this horseshoe zipper pocket on the front. This pack has a compartment in the bottom that's accessible from the front. You can also unzip the, there's a line inside here where you can unzip and have one big bag. I chose to keep it in compartment form. So inside the pack, I keep my first aid kit right inside this little sleeve on the inside of the horseshoe access. My first aid kit's a bit bigger than I normally take, but I've got a tourniquet, some bleed stop, some mechanical wound closure bandages, got some pain meds, just basic first aid, small pair of scissors in there, some polysporin, some eye drops. Again, you know, I think it's kind of a personal thing what you're comfortable with and what you know how to use with your first aid kit. I use these little marsupial gear go bags. They're nice and handy and bright orange. So in the main body of the pack, this is all my puffy gear. I use these Hyperlite bags. They're made out of Dyneema. This one is their pillowcase, which is also a bag to store. So I keep all my puffies in here. So I keep them in order of kind of what I'm going to use during the day. This is just a cheap little down vest. I've had this vest for years, and it's gone on almost all of my hunts. I think it was like 50 bucks, 40 bucks, something like that. It's gone on almost all of my hunts, and the hunts that I don't take it on, I wish I did, because it just keeps your core nice and warm. It's super light, packs down to nothing. And I've got an older Kuiu Super Down jacket with a hood on it. And then I got the Super Down puffy pants. Again, I've gone back and forth on puffy pants, whether I bring them or not. And I've decided now going forward, I'm going to bring them on all my hunts. The one item I did not bring on this hunt, we'll talk about that a little bit later, is I did not bring a base layer bottom set. And there was a couple times where I kind of wish I had. It wasn't a deal breaker, but some of the mornings were pretty cold. This is my cook set. We dehydrate all of our own meals, all of our own dinners. And the system that we used is pretty simple. I'm going to do a separate video on my food. But this is the a GSI mug. It's insulated. They make a couple different sizes of these, but this is what I basically eat my food in. So we'll dehydrate the meal. Sorry, boil water, rehydrate the meal, dump it in here, close this lid, wait about 10 minutes, and then your meal is cooked. This is a little GSI coffee cup. Inside that cup, I've got folding titanium spork. And then my stove. I played around with some of these smaller stoves. This is the one of the fire maple stoves. Works good. I find the sometimes a little finicky setting it up with the arms, but what I do like is I matched it up with the with this pot set, which is really nice. It's got these. I can't remember what you call them at the bottom, but it's got these fins on the bottom that retain the heat and help you get a quick boil. Small canister of fuel fits right inside. I carry it in a little bag so it's not rattling around. I don't do a ton of boils on a hunt. I took 2 small canisters, and the first one lasted me, I think it was 8 days, and then I started on the second one. In future, I might just go with one larger size and one small just to be safe. On this hunt, we flew into a lake, and the last few years I've been doing my sheep hunts have all been jet boat transporter. So I'm very used to being picked up on the exact pickup date. And there was a couple things I didn't account for on this hunt, but we got lucky. We actually got out one day early because we had a ram and the weather was good. So put this stuff over here. So spare clothes. Normally, my spare clothes are pretty simple. 1 extra pair of socks. I carry a lightweight beanie for sleeping and 1 pair of boxers. Halfway through the hunt, change those out. Now, again, I don't have food in this pack, but my food weighs roughly 1 pound 4 ounces per day, and it ranges from 2,200 to 2,500 calories. I vacuum seal my breakfast and my day food, my snacks and my treats like dessert stuff, chocolate bar, whatever, all into one package. And then I keep my dehydrated meals separate so that I have some choices in the evening whether I want a big meal. And I also write down on each package how many calories are in the breakfast and day pack. And then I pack them into these bags. These are Hyperlight bags. They're waterproof and they have really good heavy cordage on for hanging them. The cool thing about these is they are shaped like your backpack. So they're flat along the back and round on the front, and you zip them and you stack them in your pack. So I run 3 of these. So I'll keep all my dinners in one, and then my breakfast and lunch all goes in the others, and then my coffee and electrolytes and stuff, I take that all out of the original packaging and put it in Ziploc bags, and then I have 1 Ziploc bag with all my drink stuff in it. So these get filled up and stacked. I put them in the bottom of this top compartment, and then my other stuff on top. So this is the compartment that I was talking about earlier in the bottom of this pack. So there's my tent. Quilt. So for my tent, this year I'm trying out the Durston X-Dome 1 Plus tent. Really liked it. It went through the ringer with wind and weather. I took it out of its original packaging, and the tent body and like fly and main part of the tent are all in this ultralight Sax compression sack. Packs down really nice. I got my groundhog stakes in here for it. For a mattress, I run the Exped AirMat HL long wide version, and I also take this little Exped inflatable pillow. I don't use this as a pillow to sleep in unless I was bivvying out and needed to use my puffies to wear them at night. But what I do with this pillow, I'm a side sleeper and I've got some back issues from days gone by, is I inflate this little pillow and I will either use it to put in between my shoulder blades when I'm sleeping or slide it between my knees just to give me a little break. The Exped mat works really well. Again, with regards to the flex tail pump, I may or may not take it, and I'll show you why here. So this is my quilt is in here. I run an Enlightened Equipment quilt. This is a bag from Exped. I did not bring it on this hunt, but I am going to bring it going forward. And my quilt is it stuffs away real nice in here. I'm not going to open it up, but If you're a side sleeper, I highly recommend you try a quilt. Getting down to it. This is a really interesting little piece. This is a Gossamer Gear ultralight foam pad. I started packing these a few years back, and I use it for a couple things. I use it as basically a liner to put underneath my sleeping pad. You can sleep on this. I have, when my sleeping pad went flat on me once on another hunt. It's actually quite comfortable. I also use it as a glassing pad, or I'll put it out in the vestibule of my tent if the weather's shitty and I want to climb in and out of it without getting muddy. I use it for a lot of things, and I strap this onto the bottom of my pack. For communication, this year I upgraded my InReach to the InReach Messenger Plus, and it's got the feature where you can send and receive voice messages as well as pictures. And it actually works really, really well. My family was on a vacation in Ireland, and I was able to share pictures of my ram right after we did the harvest. We also used the satellite messaging on our iPhone. I'm filming on my iPhone, but I have a 15 Pro. Ed had the 15 Pro Max. We found it worked pretty well, although you do have to wait for satellites. I'm sure most of you have tried it by now if you have an iPhone. I think it'll only get better. So between the two, that's how we did our communications. What I always tell people is you should make a couple of lists when you do these big extreme hunts. The list of things you're going to take, and then you make another list of the things that you're not happy with or don't want to take or change. And you can work on those lists during your hunt. So a couple things. I didn't have a water filter on here, and the reason I didn't is I brought a Sawyer squeeze with me, but I share my gear with Blake and Steph, my kids, and Steph had my water filter. Turns out the water filter that I grabbed was plugged and it didn't work. Luckily for me, my partner had the exact same filter and it fit on my bags. I like the Sawyer squeeze filter. It works really, really, really well. I also bring those pristine water tabs with me as well. So just a note on that. What am I replacing? Well, as mentioned, I replaced the Davros head with the Davros Pro Gen 2. Also going to replace, like I said, I'm going to bring this dry bag, which is also a schnozzle. That's what Exped calls them, which is basically an airbag for filling your mattress up. And then, yeah, for the, I did use a Dyneema sack similar to this for my sleeping bag, but I found that I can either just stuff my, my quilt in here. It fits really nice, and then I could jam everything in if the weather's good, and if the weather's bad, I will use that. What will I bring that I didn't bring last time? I'm going to bring a base layer bottom, and I'll bring a set of down glassing mitts. I found my gloves were great, but on those really cold mornings, it was a little chilly on the fingers. What else? What am I not bringing? I had a quilt sheet, a half sheet that went over my mattress, the top half. I liked it for the first few hunts, and then on this hunt, I found it to be more of a pain in the ass to put on and off the actual pad. So now all I do is I just lay my rain gear jacket at the top where my head goes and just wrap it around the top of the mat, and it keeps my pillow from sliding. The only other thing I would remove from my bag is I had 2 contractor garbage bags. I only really needed 1, so that'll come out. What am I going to buy on this trip? I'm going to buy a set of down booties. I think those are a real nice addition. Blake runs those. I've seen a couple guys run them, and they look really comfortable. I'm going to buy a new solar panel. I'm going to go a little bit smaller. I'm going to try that. I'm researching right now the small electronic mosquito repellent devices from Nightcore or Flextail or one of those companies. They look like they should work pretty well, and they're only a few ounces. The other thing is, oh, actually I have to pull it out. I've got my some stuff in my belt pouch. I'll show you guys here in a minute. And a new battery bank. Pull this out quickly before I forget. Oh, I should mention this too. So I like to carry my rifle in a Kifaru gun barrel. So I run the universal gun barrel from Kifaru. I just like to have my rifle handy, especially in grizzly country. You can just pull the release strap and the rifle falls right into your hand. More and more bears out there. So a belt pouch. I always keep my Spartan javelin handy. I needed it this year to shoot this ram. Carry some bug dope. Salt sticks. Electrolyte salt sticks. These are basically a fast chew orange flavored pill, kind of like a vitamin C pill, but they give you a nice little boost when you need it. I carry a nasal spray. My nose gets really dry on these hunts. Just some personal stuff, some chews, honey stinger chews, some mints. Carry some cough lozenges like Halls, and that's it. One of the things I'm going to change for next year, possibly, I'm going to do a separate video on this, but I purchased a Barney's of Alaska frame and was able to do some modifications to it, add some compression straps. And I'm going to try and see, these bags, the EXO bags fit on those frames if you do the modifications that I've done, and I will do another video on that. But for next year, I'm seriously considering running this bag on the Barney's frame. And the only reason I'm saying that is I would like a little more stability with a load. I think for most people, 99% of the people would be completely happy with the EXO bag and the load shelf and the way it handles the load. The one complaint I have about it that I don't like is when you have a very big load, the top of your bag, so your frame sits like this, your back is here, so you're here, your frame is here. What I find is if you have a really big load, the top part of the actual bag itself leans way out. And if you've got a lot of weight in there, I find it hard on a long pack out to be comfortable. And that's just me. It's just a personal thing that I found with this bag. But other than that, they're great. It's a personal thing, much like boots. Same thing with packs. You just got to find one that fits. But overall, I really like it. I might just make that little tweak. And then again, I'm just going to switch from my Revic binos back to Swaro, and then I'll bring my Revic rangefinder. Again, just simple. The Revics are really, really good. I love the ballistic app. It was super helpful in this situation when I had to shoot this ram at 370 yards, helped me with my dial up. But I just want that alpha glass for that early morning and last light. So I'm going to do a separate video on the food that I pack. It's not rocket science. I think food is, again, something personal. Some people need 4,000 calories a day, some need 3. I find I can survive on 22 to 2,400 and I'm totally comfortable, lots of energy. I've got my food dialed. I was very happy with my setup this year. So hopefully this video was helpful. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.